It's my pleasure to be here today to speak to you and to introduce these two wonderful speakers. As Paulina mentioned, I am the director of the U.S. Commercial Service Office in Las Vegas, and I also serve as the Department of Commerce's Global Asia Team Leader. As you may already know, the U.S. and Foreign Commercial Service, which is part of the U.S. Department of Commerce, through its domestic and international offices in embassies and consulates around the world, provides exporting and other international assistance to U.S. companies. Our Global Asia team is one of over 30 industry and regional teams, and we provide key resources, assistance, and trade activities to U.S. companies to help them successfully do business around Asia. Our Asia team portfolio covers 15 countries, including the ASEAN countries, and one trade event that we are promoting heavily to our U.S. companies and clients is our Discover Global Markets Conference taking place in October 29th through 30th, not far from here in Costa Mesa. The theme of this Discover Global Markets Conference will be Pacific Rim Consumers, and it will address key market issues and opportunities and will bring together all of our foreign commercial service leaders from around the Pacific Rim region. We encourage you all to attend this amazing conference, and there are some flyers for this event out on the registration table, so please go take one before you leave today. So without further ado, I'm very honored to introduce our next speaker. His Excellency Ambassador Awang Adek Hussein holds a PhD in economics from the University of Pennsylvania's Wharton School of Business. He has served as Deputy Finance Minister, Senator, Assistant Governor of Central Bank of Malaysia, and other notable positions. His Excellency Ambassador Awang will carry forward the work of Prime Minister Najib in promoting for greater economic and business ties between Malaysia and the United States. Let's please welcome Ambassador Awang.
Thank you, Andrew. Thank you very much. Excellency Holly Vineyard, Deputy Assistant Secretary of Commerce, ASEAN colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very pleased to be here actually. This morning, the whole morning, to hear the discussion and presentation on ASEAN and the need for engagement, not only by the American business community and investors, but also increasingly investors from ASEAN region coming to US. Now, perhaps there will be growing interest of cities trying to locate, trying to attract some of this investment. I was, I'm based in Washington. I just came out from Washington, but I left 2 days ago. I was in Portland, attending Portland, Oregon, attending a similar sort of event on a bigger scale. Every year in Portland, they have this International Trade Week, where they have dinners and breakfasts. So I was invited by our honorary council in Portland, because there are 25 honorary councils in Portland representing 25 countries. Malaysia is one of them. And there are also 2 council general there from Mexico and Japan. So they also organize one of the events during the week. There's a dinner giving awards to companies, doing sort of successfully in international trade. The dinner was attended 600 people The governor was there, the mayor was there. The next morning I attended the bigger 1,000 people breakfast of all the business community in Portland. And they're all very excited about international trade and promoting further engagement, encouraging companies to go abroad. They told us that Auckland, a small state in comparison to California, even then has 500,000 jobs that are either directly or indirectly related to international trade. And the job on average pays, I think if I'm not mistaken, about 20% higher than the domestic jobs, domestic sector jobs. So they are very excited, and of course, maybe the biggest trading partner of Auckland and Portland is Asia and ASEAN. So that's where I come in to inject some sort of sense of being part of that, international trade and representing ASEAN. And here I am this morning witnessing similar thing being talked about here in LA, and I was told by my Consul General this morning before we came here that there are cities, other cities as well, interested to hold similar sort of events now that they know LA is taking the lead. So so that's very good, and that makes me very happy, especially Malaysia being the chairman of ASEAN for this year, 2015. And part of my job is really to go around and tell people about ASEAN. This morning and today, in fact, I think my job has been done by other people, especially by Mr. Mark Melly. I think he did that better than I ever done. He got all the statistics, all the very impressive sort of part of the story why all should be in. I'm talking about the businesses and investors should be connected to ASEAN in some way. So I'm not going to repeat very much on that score. Perhaps just to highlight a few points by way of emphasizing again some of those mentioned by Mark and those that I thought I didn't hear available or presented in his slide. But I'm more now that I'm here, I'm more interested to actually hear the US perspective of things. We know from the ASEAN perspective. I think we don't have to make further arguments, so to speak. It's all very clear. But it's interesting to hear the US perspective, especially when we have Excellency Oli Vineyard to speak on behalf of the Department of Commerce and the US government, zooming a little bit on ASEAN as part of new pivot to Asia. I just want to make a few sort of remarks on those points that were either mentioned or to complement some of those arguments. We know that ASEAN now, is the 7th largest economy in the world, but it's also the 4th exporting bloc. If you take export from ASEAN as a region, it's 4th. It's bigger than 7th. So that means these ASEAN countries are very export-oriented. We heard just now Singapore trade is 3 times the GDP. Malaysia trade is twice GDP. And it's the 3rd largest labor force. And OECD projected ASEAN to grow on average 5.6% in the medium term for the next 5 years. And if we project that growth and taking into account productivity gains and the potential, coming through, we heard the case of Indonesia, for instance. There's so much capacity and energy that it can unleash with the investment in infrastructure and the population. I think we must credit Indonesia, although I certainly agree fully with the Indonesian Council General that the part of the reason or the success of ASEAN is because of Indonesia. The sheer size of Indonesia make us all feel proud to be ASEAN. But Malaysia is only 30 million. Cambodia was like 15 million just now. Somebody said, 15 million. Singapore, 3 million or 5 if you add the foreigners. But Indonesia, that makes the number 30 million. How much Indonesia? More than that. So now altogether, taken together, ASEAN 630 million people. The third in terms of labor force. So it's projected that by the year 2050, ASEAN will be the 4th largest trading bloc, from 7 today. Why? First is the population growth. We in ASEAN still producing children now. We are not like in some countries. We don't have too much worry about giving birth to the young. So the rate of population is growing, and maybe that's the reason why we are doing well economically. So the productivity gains are going to generate from greater efficiency, infrastructure, building. So all this, and I think it makes sense that ASEAN will be 4th largest trading bloc by the year 2050. And you can imagine, as an exporting bloc, you'll probably be 2nd or 3rd. Now we are already 4th. So I just want to inject that since that didn't come out in Mr. Mark Maybe's presentation. The third is TPP. Maybe Deputy Assistant Secretary can elaborate more, but so far now 4 countries in ASEAN, Singapore, Brunei, Vietnam, Malaysia, going to be part of TPP. And other ASEAN countries very keen. I know Ambassador Twiza always asking around, when can we join, when can we join? The Philippine ambassador very keen to join. I'm sure once the process is completed, there will be other countries joining, Philippines, and I'm sure other ASEAN countries also will be part of it. So, and TPP is not only a free trade agreement; it's a 21st century agreement, trade agreement. It covers beyond trade, beyond the issue of market access, extending to SOEs, state-owned enterprises, intellectual property, government procurement, so a wide range of agreements. So adding that to ASEAN and bringing US and 11 other countries together as part of the TPP community, you can see the significance of ASEAN going to be soon, given the progress made in the US Congress, and I'm quite optimistic that eventually TPP will be concluded successfully. The 4th is Mr. Mark Bailey mentioned a little bit, not very much, on this RCEP, these free trade agreements between ASEAN plus 5 other giants: China, India, Australia, Japan, Korea, New Zealand, and we are also moving, making good progress on harmonizing all these separate ASEAN plus free trade area to become totally harmonized, single, common free trade agreement, ASEAN plus 5. And that, although it's not comprehensive as TPP, covering other areas of agreement, but certainly this would be, huge market. And combining that with TPP for some member countries, TPP, RCEP, the possibilities are beyond imagination. One point that has often been mentioned about ASEAN is that ASEAN is moving too slow. People say, we need political will. I think for those who understand and being part of ASEAN, we are quite all right. We may not be very fast, but we are quite all right. We're doing quite well. We make progress. Every year we make progress. Every time we make progress. And we call this the ASEAN way. The ASEAN way, two basic principles. First is the ASEAN centrality. That means we must be together. We cannot be moving ahead. Part of ASEAN moves ahead, the other part left behind. Now we have to be together. That's the ASEAN way. We undertake to join as a community, we'll be together. So we cannot be faster than our slower partner, because then we'll be leaving them behind. And also the ASEAN way is to develop consensus. A bit slow sometimes, but eventually we'll always come around to agreeing. I think there are a lot of successes to that. So it will. Maybe in the past, that what brings this ASEAN way and ASEAN centrality is a lot of economic interest. Economic interest. Countries want to be, as prosperous as the neighbors. Why should we be behind? We are almost the same people, same region, same climate. Similar food, if not same. Still very hot and spicy. We can. If another country can do it, why not other countries? So a lot of economic interest is, and of course the process of globalization and connectivity brings people much closer together faster in terms of the need to aspire, towards economic prosperity. And many of us, adopt this prosper thy neighbor policy, beggar thy neighbor policy of the mercantilist era, prosper thy neighbor. You create opportunities, you help out each other, it will be good. But I think increasingly, not only the economic interest is going to drive ASEAN, towards this common goal in a manner, the ASEAN way, but also other interests, strategic, political and strategic interests. I think our colleague from Vietnam was talking a little bit about the need to maintain peace and stability. Of course, when the region is going to be, much more attractive, a lot of interest. Other countries also want to be coming along and, trying to see what they can, elephants start to roam around the neighborhood, to use one of our colleagues. So we have to maintain this peace and stability, because if we cannot maintain that, it's to no one's benefit. So that makes ASEAN, I think, going to be much more cohesive. There will be stronger political will and the willpower to maintain this centrality, and to we know of cases where it takes a little bit of time and urging to get ASEAN to agree on certain things, but eventually they see the need for that. Not to be nice to the neighbor, but also to their own interest to maintain peace and stability in the region. So I just make those remarks. Thank you very much, Andrew. And I am much more interested to listen to our Deputy Secretary to hear the U.S. perspective. Thank you. Thank you.